campers. While we're gathering around the campfire, we just want to let you know we are not what you would call experts. What we do have is a love for researching and discussing the lore of cryptids, creatures,
and an occasional spooky woman that can eat our soul.
So if you are in need of immediate help with the chupacabra in your yard, please consult someone else.
Also, this podcast isn't for kids. These campfire stories can contain graphic and explicit content that may not be suitable for young campers, so listener discretion is advised. Hey campers, my name's Kimmy and I'm here with my co-host Ryan.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Aloreing, our folklore podcast where we tell you the history and stories of different legends from around the world.
Oh, you always shake it up just enough.
Yeah. You get too used to the order, so I change it up so that it just throws you off a little bit.
I think it's just like your subconscious revenge for me doing the church and science segment.
True.
You're like, this is where I'm going to get her.
Yeah, I'm gonna not let Kimmy be able to guess what I'm saying with her hands. Sweet revenge.
That's how it happens every week, and then I feel vengeful, and then it just is a vicious cycle.
What it really is me refusing to read the script that we have for the intro because I'm like, no, I got this, and every week, and then it gets to me, and I'm like, wait.
I can't remember my part.
And what have I been saying for 47 episodes now? Shit. What was it?
I can't remember the last episode. It's so funny because I'll talk with people that listen to the show, like people I know in Small Lake City, and they're so sweet, and they'll make a joke from an episode, and I don't catch it right away.
Yeah.
And I just look at them, and they're like, it's from this episode. I'm like, oh my god.
I said that?
I was like, really?
Yeah, we kind of just zone out for an hour, and then all of a sudden we have an episode the next week. I'm not really sure what happens.
Our editor doesn't even really know what happens. Sometimes we get messages from him like, are you guys okay? And we're like, oh, we're fine.
I just wake up in a cold sweat. I'm like, oh, we recorded? Oh.
I feel like I'm being turned into a meme, and I don't know why. Well, let's get into this. Ryan, what did you find Aloreing this week?
Well, I don't know if it's Aloreing, but if everybody could just take a quick moment of silence for my youth. I am now 28 years old, which is basically 30 at this point. So that's something I got going for me. Been dealing with that for about a week now.
Am I older than you?
Apparently. I don't know. I'm 28 as of a week ago.
What year were you born?
95.
Ryan, I'm 28. Oh. Now I'm going to have an existential crisis.
Kimmy, you're old as shit. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm entering my true village witch era. Everybody.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Looking forward to 30. But approaching 30 is terrifying. And I feel like 28, you no longer could be like, yeah, I'm a young person. No, I'm 28 years old. So.
I don't know. Age doesn't really scare me until someone else is scared by age. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I usually have a crisis for about 2 weeks every year around this time, conveniently. But, we get through it.
Mine's is always like, I guess I'll get some more wrinkle cream, it's never a big thing for me. I've never been big on age, and I feel like it's because I've acted like an old lady with the weirdest crafting obsession since I was 7.
Yeah.
I've just
Which
always felt old.
I'm glad you don't, because I think most of my issues with age come from living in Utah for the years that I did.
Mm,
That really messed with my head. Like these
listen,
22-year-olds being like, "Oh my god, I'm so old. Like, what am I doing?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute, what?" And now I'm 28. But
listen.
anyway,
Like, what it comes down to is if you get divorced in your early 20s, like you can take on the world at that point.
yeah, fair
Like
enough.
all those fears you had of commitment and everything, and you're just like, some people are just crazy, and you accept that
Yeah,
at a young age. You can't fear old age. Maybe that's why I just don't care. I'm like, things will happen when they happen.
yeah, I'll figure it
I
out.
tried rushing it.
Yeah,
Negative ghostwriters.
and I mean, I'm not like it's not like a terrible fear I have. It's just every
Right.
year I'm just like, damn, another year.
It just looms,
Yeah,
looms over you, like just
yeah.
peeks in from the doorway
hmm
occasionally just to remind you.
But tomorrow will make it 2 weeks, so we'll be fine tomorrow morning. I got a feeling I'll wake up, be like, yeah, 29's not that far away.
29's
We're
good.
fine.
Well, good. You're doing great. I'm proud of you at your 28 years of life. You're
Thank you,
rocking
thank you.
it.
What did you find alluring this week?
I am more anti than I was a week ago.
Hell
My
yeah,
my one of my younger brothers and his sweet wifey had number two, and I am
nice.
over the moon. He is adorable. I will just say his name. His name is Eli, and I love everything about him. And he looks just like my brother did as a baby, which is the trippiest thing ever. Like a carbon copy. It's
Yeah.
wild. But they're so cute. I just got to hold him for the longest time, and that's all I wanted. I was like, we just got to go see them and see how they're doing if they need anything. And they're doing great. And they were like, you want to hold him? And I was like, yes. And I just almost fell asleep. I love babies so much. It was just like the most peaceful, relaxing experience. And I love it so much being an auntie.
Yeah, especially when they're little like that. Like, it's so much fun.
He still had the baby scrunch, which is when their knees are all scrunched up and they
Yeah.
just want to lay on you. I was just
Like,
like, oh, and he kept making like little gremlin faces, and I was like, this is happiness right here.
that's awesome. Yeah, being an aunt and an uncle is the best because it's all the
Yes.
fun, none of the responsibility. I stand by
Oh
that
yeah.
wholeheartedly.
I brought some of the cryptid stickers I've made for the podcast for my other
hmm
nephew, and he was so happy about them. It was the cutest thing ever because he loves to like look at art, and it makes my heart so happy because he likes my
Nice.
art. So I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
But
we'll take
anyway,
over the podcast when we decide to retire.
yeah, he'll be next in line.
20 something years. Yeah,
Anyway, that's my peaceful Lorraine thing. Good luck transitioning. I believe in you.
nice. You know what causes babies to sleep so
Oh.
peacefully on their ants? This week's folklore. Let's cue that campfire sound. That was that good. I felt like that was a solid transition. Here
I
we are.
feel like your voice was more hesitant versus how solid of a transition that was. Does that make sense?
Thank you, thank you. Well, we got there. Um, here we are. He's peeping in the door now, and first of all, he spies, as he had done before now, the little children's eyes. Then quickly does he throw it his golden sleepy sand, and all before they know it are off to sleepy land. What are we talking about?
Oh, so, later today, when you rest your head upon your pillow, get all snug under your blankets, and close your eyes, it's important to know that there's a famous folklore figure that's going to make a visit by your bedside. But don't worry, this figure brings nothing but a world of dreams and the ability to help you get a full night's rest. This week, we will be talking about the Sandman. a traditional character found in many children's stories and books. This legend was a major part of European and Scandinavian folklore during the 17th century, and to this day, these legends have inspired a more popular anti hero figure that can be seen in many TV shows, comics, and movies. So, for all of our lovely not audio, video watchers, you can see the illustration here on our YouTube channel. And for all our lovely audio listeners, you can check it out by going to our website, aloreing.com, looking at our blog, or finding the image on our Instagram. And then I am trying, we will see how this goes. But there may be art prints of these, and I may stop doing the drop shipping stickers and start doing my own come June in our shop.
Oh.
So it will be a little better in price, and it's homemade, and you're not going through a drop ship for that, which will be nice. So you can check it all out at aloreingshop.com. So anyway, I really like how this one turned out. This one took me a while to figure out because I didn't want to draw a creepy old man in a bottle.
Yeah.
But
were you humming the Mr. Sandman song the whole time you were writing your notes? Because I sure was.
Actually, I was humming, you know the song The Candyman? But it was like, who can take a nightmare and make it to a dream? Like, the Sandman. Huh. Like, that was what I was singing the whole time.
Interesting.
It just, I didn't know there was a Sandman song, so maybe that's
bum, 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 bum.
Oh, Mr.
I'm not
Sandman.
Gonna go any further, so we don't get claimed. Yeah,
it's an old song. We're fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I can't sing, but man, I love that little jolly tune. Okay, So though it is difficult to pinpoint the exact origins of the Sandman's legend, we do know that's rooted in European folklore. So during the 17th century, a German-French dictionary published in 1771 explained the Germanian idiom der Sandman kommt, which translates to the Sandman comes. This was a popular phrase to say someone looked like they were about to fall asleep. So, a few years later, in 1789, a German grammar dictionary used the same idiom, but it was to describe a humorous thing that adults would say to children when they rubbed their eyes because they were sleepy. They would imply that the sleepy kids were rubbing their eyes because the Sandman just sprinkled some sand onto them. And though it's unclear how long this phrase was used before it was published in the dictionary, we do know that the Sandman joke has been around since before the 17th century and was a major part of European folklore, specifically German and French. So, this idiom grew in popularity, and during the early 18th century, it found its way as the main focus of different folk tales. At first, the legend of the Sandman did a complete 180 and went from a delightful joke of how kids were sleepy to something much more nightmare-fueled. In a German short story titled Der Sandman by E.T.A. Hoffmann, the Sandman would throw sand in children's eyes when they wouldn't go to sleep, causing their eyes to fall out. And if that wasn't enough, he'd snatch those eyeballs up and feed them to his own children. So,
have you ever watched King of the Hill?
Yes.
the pocket sand where you get in a fight, you just pocket sand right in their eye. It works every time.
So that's the first meme of this episode will be I can't remember his name. It's Hank Hill's friend that's a little alien crazy. That's how I remember him.
Yeah, I can't think of his name either.
Has the bug company. His wife had the longest affair. Dale. There we go. We'll there.
Dale's pocket sand.
The connection of Dale and the Sandman are very similar if those two legends
actually. There's a lot of overlap. Yeah, you'll see more later in the episode.
It will come. So, in this more nightmaric symbol of the Sandman, it didn't last long, though. So, in 1841, Hans Christian Andersen swept in with a fairy tale called Oli Luke OG. I couldn't figure out how to pronounce that. Oli Luke OG. OJ.
Olakoji. Olakoji. Hey,
Olakoji. Wow, that sounds
yeah.
way better.
Let us know. Let us know.
We'll call him Ol L because
Yeah,
that's
OL.
Ol, and brought the Sandman back to a delightful light. So Ol, much like the original idiom, would lull children to sleep and sprinkle magical dust on their eyes as he told stories to help them have a peaceful night's rest. No eyeball snatching for this folklore figure, and it seemed to be the one that stuck as time went on. Now, to this day, the Sandman can be seen in TV shows, movies, and comics as an incredibly versatile fairy tale character. Repeated adaptation. Wow, what was I trying to say? Repeated adaptations centering around this master of dreams helped keep the folklore alive as he's constantly evolved into a new and refreshing character each time with each retelling. From eyeball snatching to helping kids have a restful night, the Sandman is a great folklore legend that shows how stories are constantly changing and morphing over time from one generation to the next. So, the next is the Sandman's name. That one's the most popular for him, but there are a few different versions of his name floating around Europe. Um, you want to try popcorning these? Because I can't pronounce any of
Sure.
them.
We got Olakoi,
Oh, we got John from Sweden and Norway.
John Blund, his brother,
We got Belgium from South Africa.
just the whole country of Belgium is the Sandman.
Maybe I may have miswrote a note right there. Maybe.
I mean, I'm not one to judge. Klaas Vak, which is from a Dutch musical.
And then the Dream Man. So now we got a few different names for him. I'm gonna hand it over to Ryan to tell us a famous story about him.
And stories do we have? All right, this first one is none other than Hans Christian Andersen's 1841 folktale Old Likoji. There's no one on earth who knows so many stories as Old Likoji. He certainly can tell them. When night comes up on the children, still in good order around the table or on their little stools, Old Likoi arrives. He comes upstairs quietly, for he walks in his socks. Softly he opens the door and flick, he sprinkles sweet milk in the children's eyes, just a tiny bit, but always enough to keep their eyes closed so they won't see him. He tiptoes behind them and breathes softly on their neck, and this makes their heads hang heavy. But it doesn't hurt them, for old Likoi loves children and only wants them to be quiet. Amen. And that they are only when they have been put to bed. He wants them to be quiet so he can tell them stories. As soon as the children fall asleep, old Likoi sits down on the bed beside them. He is well dressed. His coat is made of silk, but it would be impossible to say what color because it gleams red or green or blue as he turns about. Under each arm, he carries an umbrella. One has a picture on it, and that one he opens up over good children. They have dream the most beautiful stories all night long. The other is just a plain umbrella with nothing at all, and that one he opens over the naughty children. Then they sleep restlessly, and when they wake in the morning, they had no dreams at all. Now you shall hear how, for a whole week, Likoi came every evening to a little boy named Hjalmar, and what he told him. There were 7 of these stories because there are 7 days to a week. Now, we don't have time for 7 stories, so we're going to tell you 3 of them. Would you like to pick a day?
Oh, sure. I left I left these up so you can choose. Let me
Yeah, just
see.
think of one, wild card. What's your favorite day of the week?
Man, I'm a big hump day person because I think it's funny.
All right.
Because
We're gonna
the
do our hump day story.
okay,
All right.
hump day.
So how the rain came down outdoors, Hjalmar could hear it in his sleep, and when old Lakay opened the window, the water had risen up to the windowsill. There was a real lake outside, and a fine ship lay close to the house. Would you like to be old Lakay?
Sure. I can try my Bernie voice again. I feel like that's my
This is oh wait, yeah, this is an old guy. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. If you will sail with me, little H. Jalmar, you can
Said
voyage to the
old
distant.
Lakay.
You can voyage to the distant lands tonight, and you will be back again by morning.
Immediately, Hjalmar stood in his Sunday clothes aboard the splendid ship, and immediately the weather turned glorious as they sailed through the streets and around the church.
Aww.
Now everything was a great wild sea. They sailed until land was far out of sight, and they saw a flock of storks who had also come from home and wanted to travel to warmer climates. These storks flew in line, one behind the other, and they had already flown a long, long way. One of them was so weary that his wings could scarcely carry him. He was the very last in the line. As soon as he was left a long way behind the others. Finally, he sank with outstretched wings lower and lower. He made a few more feeble strokes with his wings, but it was no use. When he touched the ship's rigging with his feet, slid down the sail, and landed upon the deck. But good news, the cabin boy caught him and put him in the chicken coop with the hens, ducks, and turkeys. The poor stork stood among the most dejected, so maybe not good news, I guess, depending on who you ask.
He
Oh,
lived, but at what cost of his pride?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Funny looking fellow, said all the hens. The turkey gobbler puffed himself as big as he ever could and asked the storks who he was. The duck backed off and told each other, "He's a quack! He's a quack!" Now, the stork tried to tell them about the heat of Africa, about the pyramids, and about the ostrich, how it runs across the desert like a wild horse, but the ducks did not understand him. They said to each other, "Don't we all agree he's a fool?"
Damn.
"Yes, to be sure, he's a fool," the turkey gobbled, as the stork kept silent and thought of his Africa. "What beautiful thin legs you got," said the turkey. "What did they cost a yard?" "Quack, quack, quack." The ducks all laughed, but the stork pretended not to hear them. "You can laugh too," the gobbler told him, "for that was a mighty witty remark. Or was it too deep for you? No, indeed, he isn't very bright. So let's keep on being clever ourselves." The hens cackled and the ducks went quack, quack, quack. And now it was dreadful to see how they made fun of him amongst themselves. But Hjalmar opened the back door of the chicken coop and called to the stork. He hopped out on the deck. He was rested now, and he seemed to nod to Hjalmar to thank him. Then he spread his wings and flew away to the warm countries. But the hens clucked and the ducks quacked and the turkey gobbler's face turned fiery red. "Tomorrow we'll make soup out of you," said Hjalmar. With these words, he woke up his own little bed. It was a marvelous journey the old Lakoi had taken him on during the night. I'll be the first to
Look,
say it. Fuck turkeys, you know?
fuck. That's why they're on
Pretentious
every
little
Thanksgiving
assholes.
dinner.
Yeah. Maybe they deserve it. That's.
I love that because he's having his dream world, and there's like a side dream in the dream world, and the side dream is about the what's it called? It's when you go somewhere and you're criticized because you're different. There's like a specific word for it, but like that's exactly what's happening. They're
Yeah.
like an alien spaceship coming to Earth, and everyone
Yeah.
bullying the alien, and the alien's
Uh,
like, "You don't even know half of what I've
Look at this
seen.
nerd who's flying. What a loser. Like,
Just walk like the rest of us." That's exactly what it is. That was pretty good. I I love the sassy animals too.
All right, so I'm gonna do my favorite day of the week now, which is Saturday.
Okay,
Um,
let's do it.
shall we have some stories? Little Hjalmar asked as soon as old LaCoy had put him to bed.
There's no time for any tonight.
Ole told him as he spread his umbrella over the boy.
Just look at these Chinamen.
The whole umbrella looked like a large Chinese bowl with blue trees and arched bridge on which little Chinamen stood nodding their heads.
Aw. We must have all the wood spruced up by tomorrow morning. That's a
Said
long
Ole.
paragraph. Okay. It's a holiday because it is Sunday. I must go to church steeples to see the little church goblins and polish their bells so that they will sound their best. I must go into the fields to see whether the wind is blowing the dust off the leaves and grass, and my biggest job of all will be to take down all the stars and shine them. I put them in my apron, but first each star must be numbered, and the hole from which it comes must be numbered the same, so they go back in their proper place, or they won't stick, and then you would have too many falling stars, and one another world would come tumbling down. So that tells me he has fucked it up before.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do this right, and a whole world perished. And he was like, man, I have to do this. Because if I don't, you will die. Little Timmy is
Yeah.
what he's saying to him right now. Which is kind of heavy to tell a little kid.
Yeah. Kid's just trying to sleep and have a nice story, but
You
I
can't
say,
dream because capitalism, my
yeah.
friend.
Oh, I say, Mr. LaCoy, said an old portrait that hung on the wall of Hjalmar's bedroom. I am Hjalmar's great-grandfather. I thank you for telling the boy our stories, but you mustn't put wrong ideas in his head. The stars can't be taken down and polished. The stars are worlds too, just like the earth. And that's the beauty of them,
My thanks, you old great grandfather.
said old LaCoy.
I thank you indeed. You are the head of the family, you're the oldest of the ancestors, but I am older than you. I am an old heathen. The Greeks and the Romans called me their god of dreams. I have been to the nobles' homes and still go there. I know how to behave with all people, great and small. Now, you may tell stories yourself.
Old LaCoy tucked his umbrella under his arms and took himself off. Well, it seems one can't express an opinion these days, the old portrait grumbled, and he almost woke up. This is the most boomer conversation ever.
I
Two
love
old guys arguing about the old days.
and the little kids there has no concept of financial burden and
He just wanted
anxiety.
a nice dream, and instead, two old men just argued about stars, I guess. I don't.
They argued about who knew more. And
Yeah.
this one was, and Mr. Sandman was like, I'ma not deal with this tonight. Mr. Sandman went, I don't get paid enough for this shit, tucked his
Yeah.
umbrellas, and strolled right out. And I love how it's the talking painting that's like, don't you think polishing stars is a little too far?
A little bit. Yeah. He's like, come on. Those are planets. Like, let's be real.
Let's be real. Oh man, these
I'm gonna
are
go.
delightful.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back in time to Monday on this one.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Gotta scroll all the way up. Okay, I see it. There we go. Now we're here. Oh, I started. Shit, sorry.
yeah, it's the old man right away.
Woo! Okay, now listen.
Old Luke said as soon as he got Hjalmar to bed that evening.
First, let's put things to right.
Then all the flowers in the flower pot grew to be big trees, arching their long branches under the ceiling and along the walls until the room became a beautiful bower. The limbs were loaded with flowers, each more lovely than any rose, and their fragrance was so sweet that if you wanted to eat it, it was sweeter than jam. The fruit gleamed like gold, and beside there were dumplings bursting with currants, and it was all so splendid. Suddenly, a dreadful howl came from the table drawer where Hjalmar kept his school books.
What can the matter be?
Said old Lecoy as he went to the table and opened the drawer. It was the slate which was throwing a fit and was ready to fall to pieces because there was a mistake in the sum that had been worked on. The slate pencil tugged and jumped at the end of the string as if it were a little dog. It wanted to correct the sum. This poor thing can't rest because the kid doesn't know how to do his math homework.
This stupid kid is stressing this pencil dog out.
Another lamination came from Hjalmar's copybook. Oh, it was dreadful to listen to. On each page, the capital letters stood one under the other, each with a little letter besides it. This was the copy. Next to these were the letters which Hjalmar had written. Though they had started to look just like the first ones, they tumbled all over the lines in which they were supposed to stand. See, this is how you should hold yourself, said the copy. Look slanting like this with bold strokes. Oh, how glad we would be to do that, Hjalmar's letter replied. But we can't. We are so weak.
Then you must take medicine.
Old Lecoy told him. Oh, no, they cried and stood up so straight that it was a pleasure to see them.
Now, we can't tell any stories. I must give them their exercises. 1, 2, 1, 2.
He put the letters through their paces until they stood straight, more graceful than any copy could stand. But when old Lecoy left and Hjalmar looked in the morning, they were just as miserable as ever. That was basically, you ever have one of those dreams where like you dream that you're at work and then you wake up and it's like time to go to work? This is the 1840s version of that.
This is what it reminded me of for some reason, and I think it's just because like I did drill, chair, and color guard, and one thing I could never get was my front splits, and it's just like I have super tight hamstrings, so like my hips are like fantastic in flexibility, but I can't do the straight splits. So every now and again, when I get super back into yoga, I'll have a dream that I can do the splits. And then I wake up in the morning and I try it and I can't. And it's the most disappointing thing ever.
Yeah.
So that's what that was to me. I felt that on a spiritual level.
It was basically a nightmare of, damn, my handwriting is so bad that I wish it could just fix itself. And then you wake up, still bad.
Exactly.
Yeah, there are 4 more of those. Recommend you look them up again. Those are the Hans Chrisitan Anderson's 1841 folktale Old Lecoy or Lecogy. We're not quite sure how to say it.
Old L.
Yeah. There was some conflicting. There was a lot of conflicting things online. I tried to find it, but here we are.
Those are delightful. I feel that's the first time. Not only have we had a delightful story, we haven't completely tainted it. You know what I mean?
Well, there were some ducks, geese, and turkeys murdered, but you know,
some maybe racist farm birds.
Yeah, in a way, you know, these 1841, you know, they even the turkeys, you know.
There's a reason they're on the Thanksgiving menu now. Like it all circles back.
Yeah,
is what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
Oh man, oh that was delightful.
Yeah,
man, okay,
almost as delightful as this commercial break that we're about to go on because we need water and a second to breathe. Bye. And we're not live right now, so I don't need to do... Well, I guess we're not live. Will the candles still be on sale when this episode comes out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is going for YouTube.
These
we're
candles
not doing
right
live stream right now, folks, so we're kind of winging it a little.
Candles right here. We decided to extend our pre-sale a little longer, so it's not too late. Get yourself a candle. I had mine on my desk. It's not in reach,
I
but they
just
smell super good. We are hand making these bad boys, so don't miss out on some handmade love,
smells so
and it
good.
supports the show. We appreciate it. Love you guys. Let's get back to the episode, shall we?
Yes.
Boop.
Welcome. Oh, sorry. I rushed it. Okay. Welcome back, campers. We hope you enjoyed that little break. We are now going to talk about the appearance and some fun things associated with the Sandman. So, this picture right here is another artist's drawing of what they thought Hans Christian Andersen was explaining in his story, which I really love. So, um, this is also his most famous appearance is from this story, and that could be because this is where it seems like a lot of people get the inspiration for modern day retellings of the Sandman. So in this, he's older, lanky gentleman that wears socks, a silk coat or cloak, and it changes colors of jewel tones. He also carries around two magical umbrellas that, when open, one has a picture to bring beautiful dreams and the other has none. So children who misbehave can have a dreamless, sleepy night. Now, there is also one instance where the Sandman was more like a sand kid. So around 1890s, the Sandman was described as a small man or child in a nightgown and nightcap that matched. He had bags under his eyes and was always sleepy and would carry around the bag in a bag with some small sand in it. I like to imagine it's like a little fanny pack and a kid with like a giant like t-shirt that just looks so done with the world because that
Yeah.
seems adorable to me and a little bit on brand. Still, the most popular appearance to this day is the older gentleman with sleepy eyes who helps those enter peaceful slumber after a long day. Though there is the occasional dark figure Sandman that resembles a more shadow person appearance, we don't see that as often as this traditional one. So now, most interesting thing about the Sandman is how diverse this character is and how diverse it's become over time. So what started as a delightful joke flipped into something much more malicious and back into something delightful. So this character's personality is dancing from one end of the chaotic spectrum to the other. That being said, I want to go over some of the abilities of the good and evil version of this entity of dreams. So, first, starting with the more vicious version of Sandman, here's what he got. Do you want to popcorn it? I know that's kind of fun for us to do.
Yeah. Um, ripping out eyeballs of children not asleep by midnight and bringing them back to his iron nest home on the moon to eat the feed or feed its children. You know, fun stuff.
The thing is, this one just brings up a lot of questions to me. Like, who or what are his children? And
Hmm.
why do they want eyeballs? And where did he get the children?
Yeah,
Like,
those those are questions.
we may
Some
never
things you
get
don't
the
want to
answer.
know.
So, questions we'll never truly have the answer to, but just things to ponder late at night. The next is like Dale from King of the Hill throws sand in the eyes of children who refuses to go to bed so they become blind, then tosses them in his sack, much like a holiday figure we know, and then takes them back home as a meal for his children.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whispers TikTok to put its victims to sleep before devouring them.
And then chokes them to death by pouring sand in their mouth while asleep and stores their body to eat later. You know, like he's using magical sand to salt some people for jerky, kind of.
These are awful.
So these are the bad version. These are like, if he's evil, this is the evil stuff he does, okay?
Okay.
So this is the worst end of the evil spectrum. But now we're going to go to the positive qualities. So when he's written as a good character in the more traditional versions of him, this is what he does. He uses his sand to help get fussy kids to sleep. The sand prevents the eyes from reopening until morning, so the children will remain in dreamland. Now, this sounds kind of creepy, but it's more like it makes them like their eyes feel heavy and tired, not like they want to open it and they physically can't. Creepy energy.
Yeah.
And then the next
And
is
then
so. Oh, do you want to? Sorry, I said popcorn, and
uh,
then I'm
uh,
not even going to let you
no,
popcorn.
that's fine. The last one is he celebrates rest by gifting people dreams.
So, not as many positives as the negatives, but they're
Not quite.
pretty, pretty powerful positives.
Are they? Dude, does
Sleeping is a good
celebrating
positive.
rest by giving people dreams counteract ripping out the eyeballs of children who aren't asleep by midnight?
Um,
It just seems like one's a bit of an extreme, the other's kind of like just courtesy.
yeah, I can't really, he's honestly not that hot, so I'm not going to sit here and justify the actions of one over the other.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I agree with you, is where we're going to leave that. But
Now, you say he's not hot, but hear me out.
how do you make them so?
Because that's a pretty hot Sandman, if you ask me.
I don't know how the hell you made that so fast. If we ever do a live show, you have to have access to a laptop the whole time and to stream something to the screen, just so
For our
people
audio
can
listeners, we
experience this.
have Dale from King of the Hill as the Sandman, crudely photoshopped together.
Oh, that's beautiful. Wow, that like reminds me of the never-ending story that really changed me, man. So.
Suddenly,
uh,
his actions seem justified.
they are all justified. He may be
Yeah.
a little charming. Give me, got me there. Who would have thought? Okay, now we're going to shift back to evil Sandman. So, because I want to talk more about this eyeball snatching fiend. So, in
Got
the
your
short
eyes.
story, what?
It's like, and you're like, got your nose, but it's like, got your
Got
eyeball.
got your
Got
eyeball. Oh,
oh boy,
he,
oh.
he does like the coin magic trick behind your ear, and you're just screaming.
It's just, please God.
If only you could see, this would be a really good magic trick. So the short story of Der Sandman is both a blend of science fiction and fantasy. So this was the German tale we kind of brought up a little earlier, and it starts out with the lead character describing an old set of events from his childhood, which includes his nurse telling him a terrifying story about the Sandman who throws sand in children's eyes to make them fall out, and then feeds them to his own children on the dark side of the moon. Now, this oddly threatening story is reinforced shortly after when a strange man who secretly visits the boy's father each night threatens to cut the young boy's eyes out for daring to peek in on the visit. Instead, the man beats the boy soundly after the boy's father begs him not to blind the son. So, days later, the boy's father is killed in an explosion during one of the secret nightly meetings, and the threatening man disappears. The real story is now introduced. So the lead character is now grounded and believes he has once again encountered this threatening man who he believes killed his father. From this point forward, the story never talks about the Sandman again, which could make it seem like the legend is more of the nurse's way to warn the boy to mind his own business. But this version of the Sandman left one hell of an impression on how he was seen. So even though he was just part of the first part of the story, it made a major impact on people making a character not good constantly, but also making it so it can be like evil or sketchy kind of personality, which I think is super interesting. So, Hoffman's story was a
Yeah.
one off use of the Sandman, and that German readers would have recognized as just an inventive use of a going idea. Plus, the The story is really good. It was very popular and was a must read throughout Europe at the time. Now, though this idea of the Sandman was strange and scary, there was a time in England when ghost stories were told as part of Christmas festivals. So this creepy tale fits right in. It's like kind of like snowy, wintry base in the story. This is when it was being thrown around Europe and everyone was loving it. And it was fantastic. So super cool. This was like me more just wanting to talk about a character. I don't normally do this for episodes, but I just really liked the spooky Sandman idea. I thought it was a really
Yeah.
fun one. So now, speaking of Christmas, another important role the Sandman's alleged connections is with good old Saint Nick. And I have put a picture here just for Ryan. How dare you? I don't know how you do that.
Trigger warning, the Santa Claus. It's coming, people. Hold your breath.
Christmas in July. Not even July, in May, folks. Man, I feel like all the memes this episode are just going to be Dale from King of the Hill.
If you ever want to see a movie that's just entirely wrong about everything Sandman, check out the Santa Claus 2, I believe this is.
This is 3.
3?
Oh, 3.
Oh, boy. There's 3 of them.
I don't even think you watched this.
Oh, no, I have. This is the one with Jack Frost.
The repressed memories are all coming back. So, anyway, I wanted to show this image. What they're like in the story is different from what I'm going to say, though. So, if you've ever wondered how Santa is able to keep tabs on every little boy and girl throughout the year, that's because he has a man, or as I'd like to say, a shadow, doing some inside work for him. So while the Sandman goes from one child to the next, his shadow, who is actually Santa's shadowy sidekick, is keeping an around-the-clock surveillance on those who have been naughty and have been nice. So, throughout the year, his shadowy coworker gives him all the tea and helps him make the holiday season go by without a hitch. So Santa has hired the Sandman shadow to do a side gig throughout the year, is what's happening.
Yep.
So if you are a kid, you shouldn't be listening to this podcast, but I see our 17 through 20 age range is going up. So all of you listening.
All right, that's 18, 19, 20. They're fine.
They're like adults. So,
Yeah.
But I know if you're listening, you probably have a little sibling that listens too. Because I know how it works. Because I am an older sibling. And the little siblings listening, if you are on Santa's shit list and you're like, I need to fix this, just bribe his shadow. Mm-hmm. Bribe the Sandman shadow. You don't have to worry about old Saint Nick. You just gotta, I don't know what the Sandman shadow likes. Maybe crystals or some shit? He seems like a crystal shadow entity. I don't know. Maybe give him memes of Dale from King of the Hill. He'll really enjoy that.
Probably. That part's true, actually.
So, anyway, that's how to get on Santa's good side this year, folks. Now, the next question that we have is, why sand? Well, it's believed this magical sand is the only way people could get to sleep and enter dreamland. Though most legends say that the sand left over the morning is a result of someone having a good dream, in the German version, the sand seemed more as a punishment for not going to sleep on time or being fussy throughout the night. So there's another reason why his sleeping dust is referred to as sand, and this leads us to Ryan's favorite segment, the one he wakes up to every day so excited about. It is time for, is it science or is it the church?
All right. Well, you already talked about the Santa Claus today, so God is clearly dead. So I'm going to go with science today, because I feel like for some reason people are probably waking up covered in sand and trying to figure out why.
Well, Ryan, you have done it. The sounds of a joyful camp counselor Mothman echo through the air in celebration.
So I was right. God is dead.
You were right, God is dead. So since the Sandman is believed to be part of an idiom, we don't know much about him, but we do know his connection to sleeping dust has a logical explanation. So whether you
Excellent.
wake up from a good night's rest, you'll notice there may be some eye crusties that accumulate
Oh.
during the night. Well, when one goes to bed and closes their eyes, the eyelids and tears go into cleaning mode. Since they stay firmly closed while resting for long periods of time, tears watch over your eyes as they move around during the different sleep phases. During this, the tears pick up dust, old cells, mucus. Oh, I forget mucus is like lubrication for the inside of the body constantly, and I hate that. Um, well, it cleans that up, cleans up bacteria and any other small foreign substances in your eyes. The closed eyelids guide the goop to the end of your eyes, and they end up in the corners near your nose and along your eyelashes. So, the same cleaning process happens throughout the day when you blink. However, during these hours, the goop doesn't get a chance to accumulate. So, you don't get all that sandy gunk around
Yeah.
there. Typical eye goop, which is properly called rheum, isn't a sign of any eye condition, and you can simply remove it with warm water and a damp washcloth. So now, due to the consistency, these are commonly referred to as leftover sand dust from the Sandman's visit, even though it's actually just our eyes doing some cleanup.
Huh.
So this is the first time where science is completely right.
Yeah, that one actually, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, like
Also,
the Sandman's a fun legend,
yeah,
and there's a scientific explanation to what really is going on.
yeah,
That's it.
that's fair. Also, please wash your eyes in the morning because that shit's nasty.
Yes. My my rabbit, I clean her eyes every day with a little washcloth
Mm-hmm.
because when she was little she used to do it, but I would get worried would scratch herself. So she stopped doing it. So now I have to do it. But whenever I have someone bunny sit her, she cleans her own eyes. So she just has me do extra work.
Yeah, I was gonna say that might be on you. That's a
Yeah.
that's a top behavior right there.
But she's so cute. I'll do it,
Yeah,
and she
there it
like
is. And that's
closes her
why.
eyes, leads into me, and she like
Mother,
will lick her
please, I
tongue.
can't do this myself. Please, mother.
That's the voice she does it too. She'll like because
Mother.
when they're like groomed, they like make this like chewing purring sound. So she makes that sound and like flicks her tongue like she's so happy. And I'm like, ah, yes. Anyway, that's my cute bunny fact of the day.
Well, now that you've heard our new segment, Cute Bunny Fact of the Day, let's move to our other segment, which is Modern Takes with Ryan. There's the little.
That's the sound we need.
All right. And I actually have one today. So there's a show on Netflix, seen here for our video watchers, called The Sandman, which is based off the DC comics by the same name by Neil Gaiman, which came out between 89 and 96. So not too long ago. Now, let me just say, the story is very inaccurate to actual like Sandman lore. It has a lot more to do with like fighting demons and like reclaiming his sand kingdom
Yes.
than it does with actual like going around putting people to sleep. But in the first episode, they accidentally capture the Sandman trying to capture a different entity, which I won't say because I don't want to spoil the show. And because of that, it causes like a plague basically of people who just fall asleep and keep sleeping forever, right?
Yep.
So that part seems like a decent accurate thing. I don't know what would actually happen if the Sandman got caught. Tim Allen would just be in a lot of trouble.
There would be a fifth Tim Allen movie.
Yeah, yeah.
About saving the Sandman. That's
But yeah, if you want a show that is loosely based off of the lore of the Sandman, check it out. It's on. I'm pretty sure it's on like Netflix
on
everywhere,
Netflix.
not just the
Yes.
USA. But the internet exists. You can find it. Yeah, that's what I got today. Go check it out.
It's so good. I don't think I've ever talked about it on this podcast, but I grew up on DC Comics,
Yeah,
which is kind of why I'm a little Marvel snooty.
yeah.
Like Marvel's good, but I grew up on Batman and Poison Ivy and Nightwing and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So like I was really excited, and I it's not the comic. The comic's really cool. It gives very Cure vibes. So if you like The Cure,
Yeah.
you will like this comic a lot.
Actually, I watched this show and had no idea it was a comic book. Like,
Really?
yeah, I was not really a DC person.
They
Um,
did pretty good. Like, of course, I've learned to look at like how they do things as like retellings instead of,
yeah,
so like that's how like I process, and I think they did great. I was really excited. I It's wild. It's so addictive. I may watch this one again because I actually super enjoyed it.
it's
But
a very fun show for sure.
oh, and it gets so good. It like there's like, oh, I don't even want to say it, but towards the end there's like a twist with everyone, and I was like, I was like, everyone needs to shut up for 5 minutes. It's
And this
so
man's
good.
naked for basically the entire first episode. So
Oh
if you're
yeah,
into
so
that, like, check it
that's
out.
why I started watching it.
Yeah,
Like I know what I'm about.
literally the entire first episode. I was like, are they gonna give this man a robe? Like, they
They
never
summoned
did.
him.
Huh?
Just him. They didn't
Just
summon a fit.
yeah, eventually. Um,
Just lots of shadows.
yeah, lots of shadows. He was, yeah, good thing he had a shadow. Um, but yeah,
One can dream.
shall we get to our announcements before we
Ooh,
move
yeah,
on to our alluring alignment chart?
yeah, let's do it. Oh, can you do the owl hooing? That's the
Oh,
sound
I
I
sure
want for
can.
this. Oh, that's not it.
That is. Ooh.
What? I thought I said an owl hooing. Anyway,
That was the
sorry. Well,
owl. But listen closely.
oh, I was wrong. I will take that out. That was. I was like, "Where's the who? How dare you?" No, that was on me. Anyway, you want
Speaking
to
of
start?
who, y'all, the annual Aloreing Summer Camp Bash is upon us. Because it's been a whole rotation around the sun since the last one, which is just wild. And we are celebrating not one, but 2 whole years of podcasting. That being said, we do have 2 major announcements. The first one is that the candle pre-order has been extended.
Oh, so we have extended our candle pre-order deadline. So if you haven't gotten yours yet, you can. Um, and this has nothing to do with the fact that I realized I'm going to be on vacation for 2 weeks, and we aren't going to send and make the candles till after I come back from vacation, which is also why we're pre-recording a few
Yeah.
episodes today. So this gives you guys some more time to order. Reminder, we got 3 candle scents. Now listen, I know you must be like me, like I can't even smell these candles. Why would I pay money for candles I can't smell? Well, like you could just believe in us, you know? Like we believe in folklore,
Mm-hmm.
and Ryan occasionally believes in a cryptid. You know what I mean?
These
We
candles
got
smell as good as Bigfoot looks.
That's right, folks. And we're talking about 70s charming Bigfoot that ended
Mm-hmm.
up in some films. You know what I mean? So we got 3 scents. We got the Cryptid Campfire. It
The
has a
best
little bit
one.
of rum, rustic wood, and evergreen. This is the one Ryan made. And oh boy, this This is a cozy motherfucking candle.
And let me
Next.
say, this, and it's not because it's my mom, but my mom did say, damn, Ryan, that's a good candle. So that's right there. Definitely not because she's my mom. That was just straight out of, a review.
Ryan Moms says
Mm-hmm.
that's a damn good candle.
Yep.
And if that isn't a good enough selling point, folks, I don't know what is. The next folklore campsite one I did, it has hibiscus, honey, mahogany, and evergreen, and it just smells. It's what you would want when you take a nice, relaxing bath. That's what you want the whole bathroom to smell
Mm-hmm.
like. A little bit florally, very relaxing. A little. It feels like you're taking a ritual bath under the full moon vibes. And I know that because I have done that with it already. And then the final is the Lost Camper, which was made by the candle maker we are working with, which is sage, lemongrass, cedarwood, vanilla, and balsam. So this is the cologne Bigfoot wants
Mm-hmm.
in his life, you know.
And if you can
Just
find Bigfoot, please let him know because I heard he stank.
so take this candle with you when you go cryptid hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You see him and he runs away, you go, no, 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 no. I
Yeah.
got something for you.
Put the camera away. Give the man a candle.
And you know what? Then you can get as many pictures as you want. Now he's all
Mm-hmm.
relaxed. He's got the candle vibes. Everything is good.
Mm-hmm.
So these will be pre-orders. They are available for a limited time in the shop. They close May 17th because we will be hand making them the next day and then shipping them a few days later. So get yours while you can at aloreingshop.com.
We are also having new goodie bags added to the Patreon. Regardless of what tier you join our Patreon at, you'll now get a lovely campsite welcome kit. It includes a holographic Aloreing sticker, an adorable Mothman sticker, and a postcard.
I
So
got
now
one of
you
them.
can get a little bit of Aloreing swag and help support the podcast.
And this, it has a official campsite membership card,
Mm-hmm.
and I made it so it's like glittery holographic on the back. So like you go to your parties, and someone's like, I work in marketing, and someone's like, I'm a doctor, and you're like, you know what? I am. You go in your wallet and you're like, I'm an official camper of Aloreing. And you flip it, and they're like, "Oh, you have a business card." You're like, "Not just any business card." And you flip it, and it's holographic, and they'll get lost in the magic of
Mm-hmm.
it.
I thought I
So
had my wallet with me. I do not, but it stays. There's my driver's license card right behind it.
perfect.
Yep.
And then, and now it's my turn. So, head over to Patreon, support the show, and learn more about what you could get for supporting an indie podcast like us today at patreon.com/Aloreing. And now, the final summer camp bash thing is we're going to tell y'all how you can get some more bonus entries in this month's giveaways.
Now, see, listen, we see the drop off points when y'all are listening and you like to skip this little segment. No shame. But the lore report is not just a sponsor break. This is us telling you Aloreing only news, such as shop updates, Patreon updates, major show milestones, and giveaways. So it's stuff you'll want to listen to stay in the Aloreing loop, which I guess if you skipped this part, you're not going to hear that. So let your friends know to not skip this part. That being said, we want to reward you for listening to these. So we are having a few giveaways happening on our social media channels this month because it is the Summer Camp Bash. For all of our giveaways during summer, my bad. For all of our giveaways during the Summer Camp Bash, to get 2 additional bonus entries, all you have to do is go to our Instagram and comment some emojis. Let's say if you comment the little camp emoji, you know what I'm talking about, where it's like a little campsite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Comment that so we know you listen to the low report and you'll get your little bonus entry.
And if if you do it where you go like spam like a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of like the illustrations and then do that comment on a bunch, that's how I see it. Because
Yeah.
if you just do it on one, sometimes it gets lost in the void.
Because
But if
Instagram
you're,
has the worst notification section in the world.
it's awful. But if you go and you just go like go, you go do 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 do. I realize the click sound may not come through because I have a noise counselor on. If you go do 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 and like a bunch of the illustrations, and then like comment the campsite emoji like bloop 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 bloop, I'll see it, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it in. You'll get 2 extra bonus entries just for listening to the most important part of our show. So,
Amen.
amen. Okay, let's do this. Alignment chart. Oh, okay.
So if I would have read your parts, which I try not to do when I am doing my alignment chart, this would have moved up to evil for sure.
Really?
Just because the amount of eyeballs getting cut out of people's heads is not cool. Um, but the story times that we had, I thought were pretty fun. There weren't really any like laws that were followed. It's just a dream, which I feel like dreams are chaotic anyway.
Right.
So I said chaotic good. You, for some reason, also said chaotic good, despite eyeballs being cut out, which I have a theory
Because.
as to why.
Well, what's your. You
She was
gotta
picturing
stop.
Dale the whole time.
Yeah, because Dale is from King of the Hill is definitely my type. Obviously. No, the reason I. He keeps flashing him. The reason I put him as good is because the bad one was sandwiched between the two. I can't do this. He keeps flashing the Dale. Oh my gosh. Okay, I can handle that a little bit more. Okay. Ryan just put the photo of Dale over his face. So that's where I'm at right now. I put him as good because there was like the traditional, and then there's the one off story of him being evil. And then he went back to traditionally being good.
That's
So
fair.
the eyeball one, totally chaotic evil.
Yeah.
Like, I would actually lean him like a little bit more towards neutral evil because he does have his rules he follows to
Mm-hmm.
be evil. So like, but I feel like that was just like a one-off thing. I feel like there was so much more good stuff in this episode than like constant conflict, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I think I really need to start going back to my roots where I just completely ignore your part of the episode.
Yeah.
You know what I
You
mean?
gotta ignore the stories because the stories are always fun and whimsical. And then you're like, but the real thing is they're a murderer.
Right. And I think I got a little clouded because like I've been doing the stories and I'm like, maybe because stepping back and realizing it now, I may have fucked up because I do think I would have put it a little bit more towards. I think I would have put it a little bit more towards evil, actually. Not
Yeah.
completely evil, between like evil and neutral. Just because there was that one instance where he was really, really bad, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't come back from
You
that
can't
too
come back from
well.
cutting people's eyeballs out and feeding them to your children.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, well, I donated 1,000 to a dog shelter. It's like, but you've kicked puppies before.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't balance out the way you want it to balance out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All
Well,
right. Well, we're mostly in agreement here. So,
yeah, we gotta enjoy it while we can.
yeah.
I'll go back to strictly putting the character based off the history. That's what I need to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
My roots. I've learned that today. So we'll head off, but before we head off, let's do some episode takeaways. Do you wanna go first for this one?
Yeah. Tim Allen killed God.
And Dale is the modern day Sandman.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. That's it. That's been our show.
Just have the most alluring day ever, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Pocket sand.